On the night of October 19th, 1986, a tragic event shook southern Africa. Samora Machel, the first president of Mozambique, died in a plane crash near the border of Mozambique and South Africa. Machel was returning from a summit in Zambia, where he had been advocating for regional solidarity against apartheid and supporting liberation movements across southern Africa. The plane, a Tupolev Tu-134, crashed in Mbuzini, South Africa, under circumstances that remain controversial to this day. The crash claimed the lives of Samora Machel and 33 others on board, while a few survived. Initial investigations pointed to navigational errors, but decades of speculation have suggested possible involvement of South African apartheid operatives seeking to destabilize Mozambique and weaken support for anti-apartheid forces. The incident plunged Mozambique into grief and uncertainty, as Machel was not only a national hero, but also a symbol of African resistance, independence, and unity. In the aftermath, thousands of Mozambicans and regional leaders mourned his death. A massive state funeral was held in Maputo, attended by heads of state, liberation leaders, and international dignitaries. Fast forward to 12 years later, Nelson Mandela, who was acting as the 12th president of South Africa, married Graça Machel, Samora Machel's widow, in 1998 on his 80th birthday, and they remained married for 15 years until his death in 2013 at the age of 95. In this video, we shall take a deep dive to how Nelson Mandela met Graça Machel, why they decided to get married, and how she made history as the first and only woman to serve as First Lady in 2 countries. Graça Machel, born Graça Simbin on October 17, 1945, in rural Portuguese East Africa, now Mozambique, grew up in humble circumstances that shaped her character, resilience, and lifelong commitment to social justice. Her early life was defined by both hardship and determination. Raised in a modest family in a segregated colonial society, she witnessed the deep inequalities faced by Black Mozambicans under Portuguese rule. From a young age, she displayed a keen interest in education, which was rare for girls in her community at the time. She excelled in school, demonstrating an early aptitude for leadership and a commitment to improving the lives of those around her. Education became a tool for empowerment for Graça, and she pursued it with diligence, eventually earning a scholarship that allowed her to attend the University of Lisbon in Portugal. Her experiences abroad broadened her worldview, exposed her to anti-colonial ideas, and connected her with the rising tide of African nationalist movements seeking independence from European powers. While studying in Lisbon, Graça became deeply involved in the anti-colonial movement and developed connections with other young African activists. It was during this period that she met Samora Machel, a charismatic and determined figure who would later become a central figure in Mozambique's liberation struggle. Samora was an instrumental leader of Frelimo, Frente de Libertação de Moçambique, the liberation movement fighting against Portuguese colonial rule. Their relationship was rooted in shared ideals, mutual respect, and a commitment to the freedom and development of their homeland. Graça was drawn to Samora's vision for a liberated Mozambique, and he admired her intellect, courage, and dedication to social causes. Their partnership was as much a political alliance as it was a personal union, with both committed to the revolutionary cause. Graça and Samora married in 1975, shortly after Mozambique gained independence. Their marriage marked the beginning of her role as Mozambique's First Lady, a position that allowed her to champion education, social welfare, and the empowerment of women and children. Together, they raised a family, balancing the demands of political life with personal responsibilities. Graça and Samora had 6 children, though some sources indicate that Graça also had children from previous relationships. Their household became a center for political discussion, activism, and advocacy, with Graça taking an active role in shaping policies related to education, healthcare, and child welfare. She became known for her dedication to humanitarian causes, often visiting rural communities to better understand and address their needs. Graça Machel's life as First Lady of Mozambique was closely intertwined with the country's tumultuous post-independence period. She witnessed firsthand the challenges of building a nation emerging from colonial rule, including economic hardships, social upheaval, and the threat of civil conflict. Her role extended beyond ceremonial duties. She actively engaged in policymaking, particularly in areas affecting women and children. She founded and supported numerous initiatives aimed at improving literacy rates, providing healthcare access, and promoting gender equality. Her efforts laid the foundation for her later work on the international stage, where she would become a globally recognized advocate for human rights, education, and development. Tragically, Graça Machel's life changed dramatically on October 19, 1986, when Samora Machel died in a plane crash in Mbuzini, South Africa. The circumstances surrounding the crash were controversial and have been subject to speculation, with theories ranging from mechanical failure to sabotage. The sudden death of her husband left Graça a widow at the age of 41, thrusting her into a period of profound personal grief while maintaining her public responsibilities. Despite this immense loss, she continued her work with remarkable resilience, channeling her energies into humanitarian efforts and continuing to advocate for social justice, education, and children's rights. Her widowhood did not diminish her influence. Rather, it propelled her into a broader role on the global stage, where she later worked with organizations such as UNICEF and UNESCO, earning international recognition for her tireless advocacy. Graça Machel's journey from a modest upbringing in rural Mozambique to becoming the First Lady of her country, and later the First Lady of South Africa, reflects her exceptional resilience, intellect, and dedication to human rights. Her marriage to Samora Machel was both a personal and political partnership, united by shared ideals and a commitment to the liberation and development of Mozambique. Together, they raised a family while navigating the challenges of a newly independent nation. The tragic death of Samora Machel marked a pivotal moment in her life, transforming her personal grief into a lifelong mission of advocacy and service. Graça Machel's story is one of courage, vision, and enduring impact, illustrating the profound role she has played in shaping not only Mozambique's history, but also the broader landscape of African humanitarian and political leadership. Nelson Mandela, the revered anti-apartheid leader, met Graça Machel in the early 1990s, at a moment in history when both were deeply engaged in shaping the future of Southern Africa. Their introduction was not one of chance, but of circumstance, grounded in mutual respect and shared commitment to humanitarian and political causes. At the time, Mandela had recently been released from 27 years of imprisonment and was preparing to lead South Africa into a new era of democracy, while Graça Machel had established herself as a formidable advocate for children, women, and education through her work in Mozambique and on the international stage. Their meeting took place at a high-profile regional event dedicated to post-apartheid reconciliation and African development, possibly under the auspices of organizations or gatherings that connected African leaders and activists who were working toward social and political progress. It was an encounter marked by mutual admiration for each other's accomplishments and their dedication to the welfare of their people. Their relationship began gradually, rooted in deep mutual respect and shared ideals, rather than the conventional courtship of romance. Both Mandela and Machel were seasoned public figures who understood the responsibilities that came with their positions. For Mandela, who had dedicated the majority of his life to the struggle against apartheid, Graça represented not only a kindred spirit in the fight for justice, but also a partner who could understand the weight of leadership and the complexities of public service. Likewise, Graça Machel saw in Mandela a man of integrity, vision, and empathy, someone whose personal sacrifices mirrored her own lifelong commitment to social causes. Their bond was initially intellectual and spiritual, forged in conversations about democracy, human rights, and the challenges facing African nations emerging from oppression. Nelson Mandela, despite his global fame, had lived through profound personal tough times, including his divorce from Winnie Mandela and the strains of family separation caused by his imprisonment. Graça Machel, too, had endured the tragic loss of her first husband, Samora Machel, in a plane crash. These shared experiences of grief and resilience created a foundation for empathy and understanding between them. Their growing relationship was characterized by mutual support and companionship, with each recognizing in the other a strength and warmth that complemented their public lives. Mandela's approach to the relationship was cautious but sincere, reflecting his thoughtful nature and his recognition of the significance of such a partnership both personally and symbolically. The decision to match histories of South Africa and Mozambique, and symbolizing the potential for cooperation and solidarity among African nations. It reflected Mandela's belief in the importance of family, partnership, and shared purpose as foundations for leadership and legacy. Nelson Mandela and Graça Machel married on July 18, 1998, coinciding with Mandela's 81st birthday, a date that held personal significance and underscored the celebratory nature of their union on deep mutual admiration, shared experiences, and a commitment to humanitarian ideals. Mandela's choice to marry Graça was motivated not only by love but also by the recognition of her extraordinary character, her capacity for empathy, and her unwavering commitment to improving the lives of those less fortunate. It was a union that symbolized personal healing, continuity of purpose, and the merging of two remarkable lives dedicated to the service of others. Their marriage brought together two figures who had already left indelible marks on African history. Mandela, as the liberator and reconciler of South Africa, and Machel, as a champion for children and women across the continent, complemented each other in their public and private lives. Their relationship exemplified partnership on multiple levels: personal, humanitarian, and symbolic. It highlighted the capacity for two extraordinary individuals to support and inspire one another while continuing to make significant contributions to society. The marriage of Nelson Mandela and Graça Machel stands as a testament to the intertwining of love, respect, and shared commitment to justice, illustrating how personal relationships can reflect and reinforce broader ideals of leadership, compassion, and service to humanity. When Nelson Mandela married Graça Machel, the union drew widespread attention both within South Africa and across the African continent. Mandela, already a global icon for his role in ending apartheid and leading South Africa toward democracy, and Graça Machel, a respected humanitarian and former First Lady of Mozambique, formed a partnership that symbolized not only personal love, but also African solidarity and shared commitment to social justice. The marriage, however, elicited a variety of reactions from South Africans, reflecting the complexities of public perception, cultural norms, and the weight of historical context. Among many South Africans, the marriage was celebrated warmly. Mandela's popularity and moral authority lent his personal choices a sense of respectability and admiration. People viewed Graça Machel as a highly accomplished woman in her own right, a Pan-Africanist, former First Lady, and tireless advocate for children and women. Her marriage to Mandela was seen as a union of two remarkable African leaders whose values and life missions complemented each other. In this light, the marriage reinforced Mandela's image as a man capable of bridging nations, fostering unity, and demonstrating that love and partnership could flourish even amidst history's turbulence. For many, it was a hopeful and inspiring personal story that mirrored the ideals of reconciliation and progress that Mandela had championed publicly. At the same time, some reactions reflected skepticism or curiosity. Graça Machel was the widow of Samora Machel, the first president of Mozambique, and her marriage to Mandela naturally raised questions about appropriateness and timing. Critics wondered whether marrying a figure so closely associated with another nation's political leadership could carry diplomatic or symbolic complications. In particular, conservative voices sometimes debated whether it was conventional for a sitting or former head of state to marry someone who had held the role of First Lady elsewhere. Yet, such critiques were largely muted, as Mandela's personal integrity and reputation as a statesman outweighed potential concerns. The union was seen more as a personal and humanitarian partnership than a politically charged alliance. From a broader perspective, Mandela's decision to marry Graça Machel was widely regarded as a morally sound and strategically thoughtful choice. Both were mature, experienced leaders who shared a profound understanding of public service, sacrifice, and responsibility. Their marriage exemplified mutual respect and shared ideals rather than ambition or opportunism. By marrying Graça, Mandela also sent a powerful message of Pan-African solidarity, celebrating the ties between South Africa and Mozambique, and reinforcing the broader vision of African unity. The union underscored that leadership in Africa could embrace personal happiness without compromising moral authority or public duty. In conclusion, the marriage between Nelson Mandela and Graça Machel was largely celebrated in South Africa and beyond. While it naturally provoked curiosity and some conservative scrutiny, the overwhelming reception was positive, reflecting admiration for the union of two extraordinary leaders. Mandela's decision to marry Graça Machel, widow of a fellow Pan-Africanist president, was widely seen as appropriate, morally justified, and emblematic of shared African values of resilience, service, and unity. The marriage became both a personal joy and a symbolic affirmation of the interconnectedness of African leadership, humanitarianism, and enduring human compassion. After Nelson Mandela's death in December 2013, Graça Machel continued her lifelong humanitarian and advocacy work. She did not permanently return to Mozambique, but maintained homes in both South Africa and Mozambique, dividing her time between the two countries. She remained active internationally, focusing on children's rights, women's empowerment, and education through organizations like the African Union, UNICEF, and UNESCO. Today, Graça Machel, now in her late 70s, is widely respected as a stateswoman and Pan-African advocate. She continues to travel, lecture, and support social and development initiatives across Africa, remaining a prominent voice for human rights and social justice.